have to be careful how I say this. If you are a single submissive, do your research. If you're a submissive in a new dynamic, do your research. If you're a submissive vetting a potential dominant partner, do your research. Okay. That's one thing. In another category, we have situations like this, where we have a married couple, long-term partnership. We are together. We both want DS. The submissive says, I want DS in this partnership. The dominant wants to start initiating more DS. In that context, a loving, loyal relationship where both submissive and dominant want DS, not the dominant trying to get the submissive, but we're both on the same page here. The submissive should not be doing research. Their research should come from their scenes with you, baby. I am not talking about isolation. I'm not talking about information control. I am not saying any part of that. When you're with a loving, trusted partner and you as the submissive want that power gap, you will be shooting yourself in the foot by doing research. We're not talking about ignorance. We're talking about research. Y'all are blurring the lines. I'm not talking about an ignorant submissive. I'm talking about keeping a submissive from leaning into a crazy amount of research that will make them feel dominant, that will put them in a cerebral space, that will make them feel responsible for the flow of information, knowledge, and play. I am not talking about ignorance. I'm talking about research, deep levels of research. But those two principles are completely different. Those two principles are completely different. If a submissive doesn't know what a term is, what an act is, they can Google that word. Do they need to scour the internet and read articles and watch movies and documentaries? And no, we want to increase opportunities for submissive arousal. So again, let me be very clear. This is not about ignorance. This is about deep levels of research that will give the submissive information they don't need to carry. It's about taking the burden off. It's about taking the responsibility off. It's very different, a very different principle than ignorance. And being in a powerless, victimized position because of that ignorance. I am talking about a very completely different principle. Submissives, it is risky, very risky, and dangerous as fuck to rely on someone else's knowledge completely. If you're vetting a new dominant, if it's pickup play, something like that, okay? Do your research. Knowledge is power, 100%. Because that's tricky. That's tricky territory. And that is a control move, an abusive move, information control, and isolation. We want to stay away from that. So submissives, especially if you are single, if you're unattached, if you're doing pickup play, if you're vetting a dom, if you're meeting a dom online, just chatting with a dom online, be knowledgeable. Know what you know, okay? If they come out the gate saying, you don't need to learn, you don't need to know what's going on, you don't run, red flag, okay? Red flag. The principle we were talking about is loving, trusted, secure, long-term relationships, trying to prevent the submissive from staying in their head with too much information. Very different.